Okay, can you guys all see this? Is that all right?
Yes.
Awesome, great. Okay, let's go. Never mind the late start. Sorry again about that. So my name's Arianna. I work for Capital Enterprise, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about startup and innovator visas, which we are an endorsing body for, which might not make sense, but I'll explain all of that in a second. I don't think this talk is going to take the hour that was scheduled for it. So I'm also just going to tell you a bit at the end, a bit about Capital Enterprise and what else we can do for you. So if you want to send questions in throughout, that would be amazing. Apologies. I'm just trying to see if I can get up the chat while I'm talking. And then when I've got a question screen up, we can just jump straight into that and go ahead and answer the questions without pause. So first of all, Capital Enterprise is an organization that wears many, many different hats. The simplest way to explain it is that we exist to help early stage startups. We do many different programs that support startups with finding funding, with finding interns, particularly for deep tech startups, since obviously, as I'm sure some of the audience will know, that can be quite tricky if you're in a very niche area. In addition, we're a membership network for other startup supporters. So we really view ourselves as a brilliant port of call if you're kind of new to the London tech ecosystem and are not sure where to go, what direction to be pointed in. We will connect you to the right people. Another thing we do is we are an endorsing body for the startup and innovator visas that the Home Office offers, which is what I'm talking to you about now. So the startup and innovator visas, for those who don't know, are basically these two types of visa that the Home Office offers for those looking to start a business in the UK. They're kind of a replacement to the entrepreneurship visa that we previously had, but I think that's been out of use for a couple of years now, so I'm not sure how many people that's still a useful comparison for. But basically, they are for people who are launching a business in the UK and are especially decided by or issued on the basis of these three kind of main things, which is there being innovative, viable, and scalable, which is something I'm going to come back to a couple of times. But those are sort of three words to bear in mind when you're thinking about whether this visa is appropriate for you if you want to launch a business in the UK and are not from here. I'm talking to you about them because both of these types of visas require an endorsement letter from an endorsing body. And I'll get into that a bit more in a bit, but essentially this means that institutions across the UK that the Home Office thinks are best placed to assess early stage businesses, write people applying for these visas a letter saying, yeah, this is a great business that we think will do well here and do great things for the UK. And Capital Enterprise is one of those institutions, and I am the one who writes that letter. So that's why I'm talking to you about these. There's two different visas that we're talking about. Well, really, there's more than two, but they divide into kind of two subcategories. The startup visa is for those who are really at the beginning of their entrepreneurship journey. It's if you are a first-time entrepreneur and your business still needs some work, you're not ready for it to be sort of commercially viable just yet, or fully commercially viable just yet, as in making money. And the innovator visa is for those who are a bit sort of further along and have a more established business. And one type of the innovator visa requires you to have some funding already, which usually comes from venture capital investors, of course. I'm going to go into a bit more detail on each of these now. So the startup visa, I think, is the one that will be most relevant to people watching today. It's for those who have not necessarily founded a business at all before, and you mustn't have founded one in the UK before. It's designed such that you can work on your business and develop your idea further and make it actually, profitable in the time that would take, while still supporting yourself by doing other things. So this visa is deliberately designed that you can work on other businesses while here in the UK working on this, if that makes sense. So you don't need a huge amount of money in order to apply for this visa. Therefore, it's very well suited for people who are transferring from student visas. We get an awful lot of people applying for this who came to the UK usually to work on their PhD, came up with a business idea while working on that PhD. Usually it comes from that. And then they decide, yeah, I want to stay, I want to make a go of this. And they apply for this visa in order to get themselves the time to do that. Because all you need in terms of finances is, as you can see on the screen, £1,270 in your bank account for 28 consecutive days before you apply. You don't need tens of thousands of pounds in venture capital money. And then once you have it, you can keep, doing your side job or working on other things in order to keep up the research on this. The way it works is that this visa lasts for 2 years. And then at the end of those 2 years, you can't apply for an extension on it or stay on this visa, but you can apply for the innovator visa, which I will move on to talking about. Just quickly, actually, the other thing to mention here is that although you can't have founded a business in the UK before working on the startup visa, you can have begun work on this business idea before moving to this visa. So you could have, as I say, begun researching this while doing it as part of your PhD, for example, and then apply to turn it into part of your visa application. You just can't have commenced trading on this business before you go for this visa. So at the end of 2 years, you can apply to stay in the UK on an innovator visa. There's 2 main types of innovator visa. Although I've put this the other way around on this slide, I'm going to talk first about the same business one, since that is the natural lead on here. After 2 years on your startup visa, you can apply again to your same endorsing body who would have written your letter saying, yep, this is a great business for your startup visa, and say, I want to stay, this is going well, I'm going to develop it further, and apply for the innovator same business visa. For that type of visa, you only need, again, personal funds to show you can support yourself. You don't need external funding. The other type of innovator visa is for those who haven't done a startup visa first and are setting up their business for the first time in the UK. And for that, the innovator new business visa, you do need £50,000 in external funding or personal funds sometimes, but normally we get people who have developed things a bit further. Usually they've started their business in another country and have received VC investment and are now looking to launch it in the UK. So that's kind of the main difference between the startup and innovator visa. You really have to be a bit further along, a bit more funding ready. Often these businesses are right at sort of seed stage, if we're going to put it in terms of venture capital terms. So you might already be turning a profit, or you might be expecting to do so in the next couple of years. To that end, it's much less flexible than the startup visa. You can only work on this while you're on this business idea while you're on this visa. So you can't have other jobs to support yourself. You can have already founded a business in the UK, obviously, because you might have founded one to get you here on the startup visa. Why would you go for an innovator new business visa instead of a startup visa, since the new business visa requires £50,000 where the startup one doesn't, and they're quite similar things? Well, that's because this one lasts for 3 years, and at the end of those 3 years, you can either apply to extend your stay under this visa for another 3 years, or you can apply for settled status in the UK. So we do get a lot of people at Capital Enterprise who come through and say, I'm just going to skip those first 2 years on a startup visa since I have the funds, and I'm going to go straight away to 3 years of innovator visa, and then I've met the other requirements sooner for settled status in the UK. That's why people do that. But this is the visa that we less often get people coming from straight from PhDs. So this is a quick sort of summary of the two types of visa and the two different requirements. As I say, for both, you need to have personal funds to support yourself. For one type of the innovator visa, you also need £50,000 for the business. For the startup visa, you can hold other jobs, and for the innovator visa, you can't. Both of them, as I've mentioned previously, need to be innovative, viable, and scalable. Those are the Home Office's words and advice on how you'll be assessed. And there are sort of full descriptions on the Home Office website of what this means. But these are the 3 words to bear in mind if you're considering applying for either of these visas. Is my business innovative? Is it doing something new? Is it original? Is it coming up with a new market need? Is it viable? As in, what's the competition like? Do I have the expertise to execute this? And is it scalable? Like, will it grow? Will it provide jobs in the UK? Will it eventually expand to international markets if you're thinking of the innovator visa? I do encourage people to think in terms of these 3 things if they're considering these visas. The other thing that both of them require is, as I've mentioned, the endorsement letter from an endorsing body. So I'm just going to move on now to talk about that. So both the innovator and startup visas, as I've mentioned, require you to submit an endorsement letter from an endorsing body alongside your application. And that's how Capital Enterprise fits into this, because we are an endorsing body. An endorsing body is essentially an institution that the Home Office has decided is more qualified than they themselves are to say, yep, this is a great new business. This is an exciting entrepreneur's idea that should be carried out in the UK. And they have a full list of all of the different institutions that are endorsement bodies for each type of visa on their website. Very often universities are endorsing bodies. I know UCL, for example, is a startup visa endorsing body. I'm not sure if they're an innovator visa one, because very often what happens is your university is a startup visa endorsing body, but not necessarily an innovator visa endorsing body. So we sometimes get people who have been here on a student visa and then applied to stay for a startup visa and been endorsed by their university to do so. And then they come to us and they say, unfortunately, my university can't endorse me as I request to stay here on an innovator visa. But normally, you would expect that your endorsing body, if you were to go for a startup visa, would then see you through to the innovator visa and sort of be your supporter, essentially, be the person who says, yeah, this is a great business. We want them to stick around. So there are a lot of accelerators and incubators that offer endorsement too, but normally they would ask you to get onto their program first. And there are fewer, I think, that can genuinely offer good, strong support to a new business without very stringent requirements in the first place. And I think that Capital Enterprise sits very well in that niche. But before we get on to that, I'll explain a bit more about what the endorsing body actually does. So when you write your form applying for either of these visas, you need to already have an endorsement letter from an endorsing body, which means you need to have applied to your endorsement body and get them to, have assessed you essentially. So what they'll do is they'll assess whether you are innovative, viable, and scalable, as I've been mentioning. They'll write your letter out. They send it to you. They send it to the Home Office as well, separately. And then once you've got your visa, the endorsing body kind of checks in on you every few months. So for the startup visa, it's every 6 and then 12 months. And for the innovator visa, because of course it lasts for 3 years, not 2 years, you check in every 6 months, every 12 months, and every 24 months with your endorsing body. That's officially on paper. I think a good endorsing body does more than that. They offer you support. They genuinely want to see your business succeed in the UK. They're not just there to kind of tick a box. And I think that Capital Enterprise does that. So do bear that in mind when you're picking someone. Just to clarify, endorsement is not the visa. This is an institution separate from the Home Office saying to the Home Office, yep, this is a great business. And the Home Office does deliberately leave their guidance for endorsing bodies fairly vague, because they want each endorsing body to have the freedom to decide for themselves whether your business is a strong candidate for these visas. So really do think about that if you're trying to pick a good endorsing body for your visa application. Our endorsement process at Capital Enterprise is very simple. We receive a lot of introductory emails from people within our network who we already know. We ask to see a deck up front, first of all, just to see the basics of this business, whether it's right for us. We support tech-enabled businesses, which is, again, quite a vague term, but essentially we support a lot of sort of deep tech startups, a lot of startups that we expect will go for venture capital funding, because we are especially well placed to support you on that. From there, you'll have an introductory call with me, and if I think you're a good fit, then I ask you to fill out an application form, and from that, make my final decision on whether or not we're going to endorse you. If we are, at that point, we move on to things like asking for a proof of funds if you're going for the Innovator New Business visa. And we do also ask you to buy our Capital Enterprise Startup membership, because we need you to be part of our community, essentially, if you're going to be endorsed by us. And this is quite standard. Most endorsing bodies do have an ask along those lines to sign up to their community, or as I've mentioned already, be on their accelerator. So do bear that in mind. From there, it's very simple. We'll issue the letter. And then we are quite hands-on, I would say, as an endorsing body. We will check in with you more often than every 6 months. We're happy to be contacted with requests and needs for your business. I think I have a slide on this now. So essentially, we ask you to become a Capital Enterprise Startup member before you can be endorsed by us. And with that membership, you get all sorts of benefits. You get free mentorship from experts in the space. We have a Capital Enterprise mentor network of individuals throughout London and the UK's tech ecosystem who have volunteered their time to talk to early stage entrepreneurs and give them advice and help them where need be. Our connections in our network is at your disposal. We're happy to connect you to the VCs we know, the incubators and the accelerators we know, the co-working spaces we know. We quite pride ourselves on being really very well connected in this space. We like to think that we know someone from every kind of relevant program or investment institution that is out there in the UK at the moment. We also get priority access to all of our programs, which, as I've mentioned, can offer things from sort of funding advice and education to more detailed support and helping you find interns, that kind of thing. Discounted membership at our co-working space, Idea London in Shoreditch, a various load of other discounts and offers, like I think we've currently got AWS on there, but I need to confirm that that's going to be on there in the near future. So I won't talk too much about that. And also, I think a real benefit of being a Capital Enterprise Startup member is the fact that we are, I like to say, quite a high quality endorsing body. As I say, we're well connected in the space. We have a good reputation in the space, and therefore we have a community of high quality, like-minded tech-enabled businesses there for you that you would immediately have as your community, as your network, as your peers on joining us. Are there any questions about everything I've said so far on the innovator and startup visas?
There are a couple of questions in the Q&A if you want to be able to answer them. Can you see them?
Yes, I can. So I'll read them out for the recording. Can I be endorsed for a startup visa if I finished the MSc at UCL during the pandemic and chose to stay at home, non-EU, while studying remotely? The information on the website and the startup visa application form require the previous studying visa. I think this might be one that's quite specific to your case. I'm not sure from the question whether you're still on a student visa currently or not. There is a difference in the application process for whether you're based in the UK or out of it. But ultimately, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. You are welcome to apply for this visa, whether or not you're in the UK. And it's still a matter of a couple of weeks, no matter where you're based. So yes, I believe you can, is the short answer to this question. And I don't think if you're outside the UK, I don't think it would matter if your student visa has expired since you're not here. But I would suggest if this is as specific a question as it seems to be, maybe try and talk to an immigration lawyer just to confirm things. Yeah. What are the terms of being endorsed by Capital Enterprise? Do you need funds, equity sharing, legal support, etc.? No, you don't. We endorse tech-enabled businesses. Essentially, in my assessment of your business, because I'm the one who runs this, so I'd be the one assessing you, I'd be looking at, according to the Home Office's criteria, whether I think this business is innovative, whether it's new and exciting and doing something that I think is interesting and genuinely original. Viable, whether I think it will succeed in the UK, whether I think the founder is a highly qualified individual, and scalable, whether I think it will grow and maybe not necessarily become a unicorn, because I'm not looking at you as a venture capital investor would, but certainly one that I think will have great success and bring employment to the UK. I also always like to ask people I'm considering for endorsement, why the UK? Why do you want to be based here? A lot of people are sort of surprised by that question, but I think it's important for me to find out whether you've thought about where is the best place for your business. I don't like it when people say to me, oh, well, I already live here. And I'm like, well, have you looked at other places? You know, what would genuinely be the best place for your business? Consider that. We don't take equity. We can offer legal support. The only funds we would require from you is the purchase of the Capital Enterprise startup membership, which is £3,000 per year plus VAT, which may sound like a lot or not, I'm not sure, but in all honesty, there are endorsing bodies out there that ask for a lot more money for that, for a lot less support than what we would offer you. As I've been saying, we're just incredibly well positioned in this industry, and I think basically a good player to have on side. I hope that answers that. Essentially, it's light touch, not many requirements. Get in touch. Are there any specific requirements if only one member of a co-founding team of 2 or 3 people needs the startup visa? No, there aren't. We've endorsed people where one co-founder is not a UK national and is not planning on coming to the UK and doesn't need endorsement for that reason, and the other person does. We've endorsed people where one has UK settled status and the other doesn't. We even have currently one set of founders where one is applying for the visa and the other is his wife. And because with the startup visa, you can bring your spouse and children with you to the UK, she doesn't need a visa too, so we're only endorsing him. Oh, the question has disappeared. Yeah, so basically the short answer is no, you can still definitely go for it. But I will also mention that the letter that we write out in the form for the Home Office will sometimes ask you, are there any other members of the team that are also being endorsed for this visa? And we like to do, if we are endorsing a pair of co-founders, as we have very often, we like to kind of do them together and do the letter in tandem so we can make sure they match up and don't clash, and that we're describing each founder's role well. Okay. You mentioned buying into a Capital Enterprise startup membership. What does that involve? Yeah, so this is something that is available also to people who aren't applying for visas. Essentially, it's a membership of our community, of our network that gets you, as I mentioned on the previous page, access to our programs, priority access to our programs, mentorship, further support, discounts. I think I've been through it, but essentially, as I just mentioned, it costs £3,000, which is lower than other endorsing bodies, and you get a lot of support for that. I'm your sort of main touch point while you are a Capital Enterprise startup member, and essentially anytime you need anything, you can get in touch with me. I'll say, yep, we can connect you to someone, or yep, we can help you with that ourselves, and yeah, just generally be there to support you and answer any questions you have. Are there any other questions coming in? If not, I might talk a little bit about what else Capital Enterprise can offer you. Following on membership is that per founder or per founding team. It's per founder because your visa is per person. So if I were writing an endorsement letter for a pair of founders for a company, you need one each, right? Because it's each of your visas. I hope that makes sense. So membership is also per person, not per team. Okay, I might talk a bit about what Capital Enterprise also does now. So as I've mentioned, Capital Enterprise does many different things and we wear many different hats, all of which are aimed at supporting early stage founders and early stage startups. We were, until very recently, only based in London, and recently we've expanded into the rest of the UK through two main programs, the first being one that I run, which is the Barclays Eagle Labs Funding Readiness Program, which is based all around the country and can help startup founders discover which funding route is best for their business. If there's anyone watching who is just launching an early stage business and isn't sure if you should go for VC investment or grant funding or crowdfunding, please do check out the Barclays Eagle Labs Funding Readiness Program. We are about to launch at the start of October, and it may be very, very useful to you. We also have a program called Teamsy or Team SY, which is up in South Yorkshire and also offers lots of different programs helping businesses based up there find funding or learn about technologies, new technologies for their business. It's a very large program that we're very excited to have launched. We have One Tech, which is something that many people might know us for because this is our program that aims to get more underrepresented founders into tech. So women and BAME people especially, we want to see more founders from more diverse backgrounds, and One Tech does all sorts of different programs aimed at helping that. Idea London is a co-working space we co-run with UCL and oh my gosh, I've blanked on the corporate partner because it's changed a couple of times. That's very embarrassing. But essentially it's a co-working space in Shoreditch, which I mentioned previously, because if you buy our startup membership, then you get discounted membership there. And we also have CAPAI and P4, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail just briefly, because I thought it might be most relevant for this audience. So the P4 Precision Medicine Accelerator exists to help health tech companies aimed at, precision medicine, obviously. My colleague has written out a bit of a spiel for you here, but I particularly wanted to highlight that they're doing the CRUK Accelerator aimed at helping early stage businesses that are basically looking to cure cancer. No big ask. If anyone is working in that area, do check out the Cancer Tech Accelerator, which could be very useful to you. And then I also wanted to talk about CAPAI, because I'm aware that there's quite a few people with AI or CompSci expertise on this call. CAPAI is the last of the European Union funding that Capital Enterprise has been using. It does lots of different things, all aimed at supporting startups in AI and deep tech. So we can help you find interns, as I've mentioned previously. We can do placements and help pay for PhD salary costs. I wonder if there might be any people in this call who've actually been part of that from the other side of things. A machine learning academy that teaches non-technical founders what machine learning is and how it works, and collaborations with business students, master's business students, to work with startups. So essentially many different things to help further deep tech companies and find them the expertise and the support that they need, since it can be such a niche area. There should be more activity and more sort of calls to action on this soon. So do keep an eye on the Capital Enterprise website and LinkedIn and Twitter pages if that sounds like something up your street. That is it from me. As I say, please do check out our website. Drop me an email if you have any questions about this talk, or if in a couple of months or a couple of weeks or a year you're looking to apply for a startup or innovator visa, I will be your first point of call and the one sort of seeing you through that process. So I hope this has been useful and educational.